Hey guys, how you doing? It's Bert Ferguson here with Rush Realty here in Dover, Delaware. Just coming to you guys today with a new edition of The Truth in Real Estate. As you guys know, this is my vlog series where I come to you teaching you guys, educating you guys about the home buying process, home selling process, and other procedures and things you should know about when it comes to doing real estate in Delaware, whether it's buying a property, selling a property, trying to acquire an investment, trying to get facts and figures about what's going on here in Delaware. So today, what I'm actually going to be doing is talking to my sellers. If you are aware of the current market that we're in, especially here in Delaware, it is a seller's market. And there are many people right now who own property and who are very curious about putting their home on the market. So what I wanted to do today was, instead of putting out a blog article, I want to make a video version of that showing you what the procedure is going to be of listing your home. This will be a three-part series in which I'll talk about the initial contracts. I'll talk about the process of getting the home on the market for marketing, what that looks like, putting the sign on the lockbox, putting the lockbox out, putting the sign in the yard, getting your pictures done and getting those uploaded onto the MLS. And then I'll also talk about some of the procedures after that as well, as we start to get clients inside of your home. So today is going to be video one, and we're going to talk about contracts. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the contracts that are needed to list your home. Now, I'm not going to do an actual listing presentation today. If you are interested in getting a listing presentation and seeing about how we can list your home and what your home is worth, feel free to shoot me a call at 302-399-0327. That's my cell. You can also reach me via email at bertf@rushhome.com. I'll probably leave those in a graphic or some letters here, some signs here in the video, so you guys can have my contact information as well as my social media sites. So, first thing today that we're going to talk about for contract is called the Consumer Information Statement, also known as the CIS. Now, the consumer information for consumers seeking to purchase or sell residential property designed for use by 1 to 4 families is a form that creates what's called agency in Delaware. So, in Delaware, when you first contact a broker or salesperson who immediately gives you duty, is pretty much going to be a dual agent. This form specifically implies and assigns who is going to be your agent in any transaction. This form, the CIS, is actually a form that you're going to sign whether you're a buyer or a seller. And it should be the first form that you sign when dealing with the real estate professional here in the state of Delaware. You really want to see this form before you even go out on showings, but before you submit offers or get paperwork signed for putting your listing on the market with a broker, you want to get this piece of paperwork signed. All right, it's actually a three-page document that also has terms on the front, like client, customer, Delaware Real Estate Commission, dual agency, statutory agent, and etc. The second page is going to talk a little bit about what the broker must do, salesperson or associate broker, and what the salesperson, associate broker, or broker may do. It also talks about some of your rights as a consumer and what you can do to just know what your rights are when dealing with a real estate professional. And then the last page is going to explicitly ask you and tell you that you are the seller, and the licensee, who would be myself, is identified above as either your designated sellers only, the buyer's agent and not my agent, or it'll say you're the buyer and I'm your buyer's agent only, or the seller's agent and not my agent. So this form allows you to know exactly who has the fiduciary responsibility to you, okay? So you want to make sure that you're familiar with the Consumer Information Statement, and it's the first form that we're going to that you're going to sign, and that you want to make sure that you're very clear on whether you're buying or selling. But today, to all my people who are thinking about selling, this is going to be the first form that you sign, okay? Now the next form that we're generally going to get together when we're looking to list your home is the exclusive right to sell listing agreement here in Delaware. This is the form that pretty much is the glue between yourself and the brokerage. The brokerage has an agent of that broker, which would be myself. This is the form that you're going to sign. Now, right now, if you're thinking about selling your homes, we already know sellers are getting anywhere from 90 to 95% of their asking price. In Kent County, homes are staying on the market for less than 5 to 7 days if it's priced correctly. Everyone's looking for single family homes, and we know our prices are increasingly getting higher and higher. This form is going to talk about the price that we're going to list the home at, what items are coming inside of the home at that price. It's going to talk about how you can terminate the agreement. It's going to talk about if the property has a current rental lease. Let's say this is your property, but it's not your primary residence. This residence is somewhere that you're renting out, but you're looking to sell it. You're going to disclose that information here in the listing agreement. It's also going to talk about the commission, the brokerage fee. It's going to talk about how much the brokerage fee is going to be and how we will split that with a cooperating agent. Now, the brokerage fee or the commission fee is a topic that is in the news right now. If you've seen that there are some possible political changes trying to regulate what commissions may be. I don't know if this is going to pass or not. This isn't a political video, but it may be something that you're hearing about. And what I do want to say is that the commission is negotiable. The commission is not something that is a standard price, or excuse me, a standard percentage. There is no set standard. You and myself, or you and whichever agent or broker that you use, will negotiate that and talk about that. Hopefully the agent can convey what their value is and why they constitute getting said commission percentage. With us at Rush Realty, if you are interested in possibly getting your home listed and doing an appointment, we'll talk about what we do and why we are justified for the commission split, the commission percentage that we get. But anyway, that's what's going to be in here as well. It's also going to talk about disbursements of deposits. When we find a buyer for your home, there's going to be a deposit that's put in escrow for us to get through the contingencies, keep the deal together, and get us to close. It's going to talk about how those deposits are dispersed based on what actions are taken. Okay, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit deeper in another video. Maybe we'll do a video where we talk about every contract a little more in depth. But today we're just going to talk about what contracts are involved when you are looking to list your home. And again, we as realtors do not write these contracts. These contracts are done by attorneys who are working in tandem with the Delaware Real Estate Commission. Okay, so these terms in here cannot be changed by us. These are terms, these are conditions, these are different procedures that are in contingencies that are in here based on what they wrote. It's our job to be experts at the information and convey that responsibly to the public. Okay, so next, it talks about seller obligation and seller representation. It's also going to talk about your seller acknowledgement. It talks about basically the things that protects you and protects us as the broker and as the representative of the broker throughout the process. So if someone gets hurt at the property, or if something happens during the listing agreement, if some sort of material damage or some act of God, whether it's lightning strike or flood or something like that, who's responsible for what, and how does that kind of move forward? This contract portion will kind of talk about that. Next, you're going to give the broker authorization in here, which one of the things I also want to mention that I have seen a lot is also there's going to be a question that asks about if there's any functioning video or visual surveillance systems on the property. You want to make sure that if you have any questions about that, what constitutes that, what's not. If you have a visual system, audio-visual surveillance system that is in place but not in use, do you still need to answer this question? How do you answer that question? Something you want to always talk to your agent about, but that is something that's also in here. But next, over in broker authorization, these are the things that you're authorizing us to do. And some of those really important things are allowing us to list the property on the internet, allowing us to put the address on the internet, making an automated valuation of the listed property. So that's making sure that if some of the other websites want to make a valuation of the property, let's say someone's going to give you a CMA or someone wants to give you a broker price opinion, that information can be used. Also, the seller authorizes blogging features associated with listing the property. So anything online for us to market the property, you are going to, yes or no, give us authorization to do so. But it is something that is asked, okay? One of the other important things in here is going to be talking about how we go about sending you offers. How every seller wants an offer presented to them is different. Some sellers may not even want an offer presented to them that is not over a certain price, that is not at a certain price. Some may want to see everything. Some may want to see some at a certain price and say, hey, we can go up to this price. There's different ways that you can go about presenting your offer. You want to make sure you talk to your agent about that. But the most common one, and one that gives us the most competency, is allowing us to show you every offer, okay, and you making a decision at that point on what you want to do. But that information is in here in the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. Next, it also talks about that we agree not to discriminate based on any of the protected classes with the fair housing and civil rights laws, so race, color, national origin, religion, creed, sex, marital status, familial status, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, source of income, and or handicap or disability. Okay? It's also going to talk about heirs and assigns, and that this agreement is binding upon the parties' respective heirs and personal representative successors and assignees. On the last page, you're going to have some information about the addendums. If you've never heard that word before, basically, and this may not, don't crucify me in the comments or anything like that, but the addendum is going to be additions onto the contract, okay? In this case, most of the addendums are going to be talking about your property's condition, and we'll go over those next. So we're going to have a list of the addendums that are going to be put into the contract as well. And then if you have any additional terms or anything that you want to acknowledge, you will have the right to do so as well on the last page, and then you'll sign. This form is very important, as all of the forms here in this procedure, but this is particularly important because it does make the agreement on how we're going to, how long we're going to list the property, price, and just what latitude we're going to take as we continue to go through the process. How long is our agreement going to be for? How long do you have to separate our agreement, and what is the procedure on doing that? So those are some of the things that we'll talk about here, okay? Or those are some of the things that we've talked about in here, and that's placed in here, okay? So after you've gotten your CIS signed, you've come up with the price in your listing presentation, and we've signed the listing contract. What we'll probably do after that point, these are 3 documents that I'm going to leave with you and probably pick up at a later date. These are going to be the disclosures. First of which I always like to talk about is the seller's disclosure right here. The seller's disclosure of real property condition report for the state of Delaware. This right here gives the buyer and the general public who is looking to purchase your home information that you know about when it comes to your home. It's going to talk about its occupancy. Have you leased the property? Do you live in it full time? It's going to talk about deed restrictions, title, and zoning information. It's going to have some miscellaneous questions like, have you received any repairs? Have you any existing legal action? Things like that. Any environmental hazards that you may know about. Land, is there any drainage or boundaries that you should know about? Any structural changes that you've made to the property. So if you've made additions, or if you've done some structural stuff in the attic, or something in the chimney, something that's going to be a structural change. Any termites or pests in the past, basement and crawl spaces, roof, plumbing related items, heating and air conditioning, electrical system, fireplace heating and stove. And it's also going to talk about what items are functioning when it comes to the property. Now, one of the things that I do want to convey here is that on the seller's disclosure, you have a list of items that you check off on the home. But also, if you look at the listing agreement, you also have a list of items that you check off. Now, the list of items that you check off in the exclusive right to sell listing agreement, these are the items that are explicitly coming with the property at the asking price. The items that you check off in the seller's disclosure are items that you know are functioning. So one of the things that you do want to make sure your agent can explain to you and understand as you continue through with all of your process, whether you're a buyer looking at one of these to sign, or you're a seller looking at one of these to fill out for the public, that you know what each contract is asking you, or what one contract is asking you and what one addendum is asking you. So with the seller's disclosure, this is actually asking you what items are going to be in working order, okay? It says, are following included items in working order? And then you'll check them off. So that's something that you really want to know about, but it will ask you that. And based on some of the things that I've asked you, if you don't know the answer, you do have a column on here you can check unknown. Okay, so you can check unknown if you don't know. On the last page, you're going to go ahead and sign that, and that's going to be the seller's disclosure. Again, I can go in a little more in depth on that contract at some point in another video, but that's going to be probably the third contract that you'll sign. Next, you'll have the lead-based paint disclosure. If your property was constructed prior to January 1st, 1978, you may have a home that has lead paint or has had lead paint in the past. Whether you know or you don't know, you'll fill this out here to kind of answer that question. But this is a form that lets the public know that every purchaser of any property here in Delaware built to 1978 is notified that that property may have lead paint. So that's what this form kind of gives you that education on. It lets you know that that may be something that it has, and that if you are purchasing a property within that age group, you want to go ahead and try to get that lead paint test. Now, some people do get a lead paint test for homes that were built after just for their own peace of mind, but it was illegal to build a home and use lead paint after January 1st, 1978. So it's very unlikely. But as a seller, you're going to fill this out, answer this to the best of your ability. Also on this contract, it's going to talk about what the purchaser can acknowledge and give them the chance to receive a lead paint test, okay? So we can also go over this in depth in another video, but the lead-based paint disclosure will be probably the fourth thing that you sign, and it allows the public to know whether you know about lead paint in the property, okay? One of the last, and probably the last contract that you sign before I can get everything going is going to be the radon disclosure. Now, radon gas is a hazardous gas that comes from the foundation. It comes from the separation of concrete in the foundation of the home. So what can happen is if you do have a basement and you have cracks in that concrete that expose the flooring in the basement, you can have gas that emits from the bottom of that, from the home. Radon gas can typically go into the basement and it can seep through the rest of the home. Now, if the home doesn't have a basement, you may not need to sign one of these, but even if you want to have one signed for your crawl space or you just want to have one signed, you generally want to get that taken care of with your listing agent. Make sure that they have this for you. Yeah, the radon gas it's a toxic gas, and you really want to make sure if you don't know about that, you check that, we're not aware of anything there as far as radon gas is concerned in our property, but this is a disclosure that you will sign. Radon gas does come from the foundation of the home, generally found in basements, but if your home doesn't have a basement, you still want to get this signed so that the buyers can do their due diligence and get that inspection, all right? So those are all the contracts that you're going to sign in a general basis for a residential property here in Delaware. Now, when you have a land lot or you are selling a new construction home or doing any of those different things, you may have some slight differences in what contracts you're signing. But generally, when you're doing, or if let's say you're doing commercial as well, if you're looking to purchase an office building, the contracts may look a little different. But if you're purchasing a home, 1 to 4 unit home, a 1 to 4 unit dwelling home in Delaware, you're going to sign these contracts. And if you want any further information on that, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'll leave my information here at the end of this video. And I hope that if you do have questions, you do reach out, because right now is the time to get your home listed, see how much it's possibly going to be worth in this market, and take advantage of the price rise. These contracts will help you get to that point. So in the next video, we're going to go out to the actual property. We're going to meet our photographer. We're going to put lock boxes on the property, show you how that works, put the sign up, and get ready for part 2 of how to get your home listed on the market, okay? So this was part 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next edition of Truth in Real Estate. All right, guys, have a good day.